Hello and welcome to another 60 minutes of red hot debate courtesy of us, the Loose Women. It's Colleen Nolan, Denise Welsh, Brenda Edwards and me, Kay Adams. Coming up.
Fly me to the moon, let me play among the stars.
We are heading back to the Naughty Naughties with Ray Quinn, who's here to tell us why he is swinging back on stage and why he's returned to Brookside Close. The hotel, motel, holiday, hell. Fancy gadgets ever stopped you from getting a good night's sleep on holiday? I'm intrigued by that one myself. Also today, we're opening a discussion on whether you should tell your child if you are seriously ill. We're going to be talking about the times as mums that we have had to make that very decision. But first, you're going to like this one. Ladies, girls, I don't know what to call you anymore, women. This is a guy who's admitted that he chose his wife because she was rich. Straight up about that. But 8 years later, the guilt is starting to weigh on him. And this is what he's written. I've been with her for the money from the moment we started dating. I treated my relationship with her like a second job. I tried to be perfect in every way until I asked her to marry me. He wasn't planning it to be a long-term arrangement, was planning to file for divorce after about 3 years. However, things took a surprising turn. I fell in love with her. She truly changed me from the selfish I once was. She gave me a family. Our 8th wedding anniversary is next month. I still feel guilty to this day. He sounds as if he wants to kind of offload this.
No, yes, he does sound like he wants to, but I wouldn't. Because she doesn't know. They obviously sound blissfully happy. He's now realised, actually, in the beginning, maybe it was about the money, but now I genuinely love her. They've got 8 years, growing up, a family. What's the point? And for me, him telling her is offloading his own guilt onto her.
Yeah.
What's he going to expect from that? Because she will have to react to that.
She will. I mean, do you judge him for this at all? It's funny, I was thinking about this. If this had been a woman writing this, I don't think anyone would really have taken any notice of it. But do you think it's different when it's a guy who says up front that I married her for her money?
Yeah, I mean, going back to the original question, I agree with Colleen. I think that honesty is overrated if it's going to really hurt somebody. One of my favourite quotes is, honesty without compassion is brutality. And I really like that because I can't bear the sort of I just tell it like it is brigade, because that often means that they're going to say something that will upset you. Listen, you know, obviously we don't know his particular circumstances, but yes, I suppose it is more common to think that women marry people for money, and it should never be applauded. But I would never judge. I've never done it myself, but I would never judge anybody for, you know, maybe he had his reasons.
Yeah. I mean, we never know why people really marry. I mean, you marry someone because you're in love, don't you? And I mean, that's the big gloss that goes over the top of it. But underneath that, I suppose you are either marrying for what looks or someone to look after you.
Well, I think maybe somebody have got maybe children, and they are looking for security as opposed to marrying to have, you know, private yachts and private planes, that they want somebody who can support them. Sorry, Brent.
No. I was going to say, this has just kind of reminded me of back in the day, and still in some places, there's dowries and there's, you know, I'm going to pay you something to get something back. I don't know if she doesn't actually know that he married her for money, and she just doesn't care. She's not bothered. And he could wail and go and say, you know, all those years ago, I married you for your money. And she says, yeah, I know. And that's what maybe she wanted. And rather than address it with him and saying, well, I know I've got this and you haven't got that, it makes it easier for him and for his ego and everything else if she just goes along with it and just say, here you go, baby, you have that and whatever.
But would it put you off? Like, for me, I'm super romantic. So I wouldn't care if someone had money or not. With you.
No, sorry.
I wouldn't care if someone had money or not.
I would not.
As long as they were working.
Can you honestly say that? Can you
Yes.
honestly say that?
Yes,
I can say
Ray
that, 'cause
wasn't
I've
working
done-
when we
I've
got
done
married.
that. I've been in that
He was a
situation, and you
jobbing...
don't-
Yeah, but that's if you're in the position where you are financially secure, you know, and we're fortunate enough as individuals to be financially secure.
No, I'm talking about if I was financially... The way I am now, Like when I first met Ray, because Ray was like a jobbing musician, so sometimes he'd be working, he could go months without working. But I never once thought, well, he hasn't got anything to offer me financially.
No, but what I'm saying is, if you weren't financially secure, I mean, let's say that you hadn't found the job that
I'm
you
a hopeless romantic.
But wouldn't
I
you
really fall in love, and I don't see outside of that.
It should not be about the money.
No.
I totally agree with Colleen.
Wouldn't you be looking for someone who could look after you?
No, you say that, Kay, but I'm not. You might say financially secure.
Yeah.
I'm not actually financially secure
No,
because
I'm not.
if I don't work, I don't get paid, and I've still got my bills and stuff to pay.
And I've been so appalling over the years.
For me is when you're not having to think about where your next penny's coming from. I'm worried. Even though I've got a boot, I'm still working because I need to. Do you see what I mean? So for me, it's more about what that man can bring me. Can you bring me some security in my emotional state, in my happy state,
it's peace,
and just
isn't
be there
it?
and
And
support me? It's not about the money. It's never been about the money and never will be about the money for me.
Yeah.
That's just an added little cherry on the cake if you've both got and you can enjoy it together.
Nice. Well, I think it's again, not a materialistic person wouldn't marry somebody for money. But at the same time, I think that, and I know this may sound sexist or a sort of gender thing, but I do think that men, traditionally, historically, are not as happy if they are not earning as much or more than the women.
I agree with that.
I think it's conditioning.
I think
they find it difficult. So it's not that I would have the problem if I had enough money to buy my own clothes and pay my own mortgage and look after the children, etc., etc. I wouldn't need their money to do that. But it's how me being financially independent affects that person.
Yeah.
And I've seen that dynamic change in different relationships, and the balance of power changes. I had when Lincoln started to earn more than me as his career as an artist took off, I was thrilled and absolutely celebrate it, and it's brilliant. But it did, for the first time in my life, make me slightly insecure.
Really?
Yeah, it did. It was a balance of, not that he made me feel insecure.
Yeah.
I did.
Oh, I
So if you're used to being the breadwinner, and as you say, most men are used to traditionally being the breadwinner, if that balance, gets knocked out, then, like where am I? It's interesting. I do think it is. I do think it is changing. Gotta hope it does.
But I don't think he should. I don't think. And also, he married her for the money, but there were obviously other things that, if he told her that, she might say, well, actually, there are other reasons why I married you.
I married you for your huge heart.
Yes.
No.
Huge personality.
Huge heart. Absolutely. Here's another wee dilemma for you. Getting into a relationship with somebody who already has children. Now, that can be tricky, can it? And this is a woman who's asked for advice about that. She said, my new boyfriend's teenage sons are terrible. They pick on my own two sons and they break their stuff. I'm absolutely exhausted trying to keep the peace. My boyfriend is laid back, says I'm too protective and I should leave them to find their own ways. So would you ditch your partner, Brenda, if you didn't like the kids?
I wouldn't. I would try and work on it with that partner. I say that. I have been in that situation. Obviously, my two children were not from my ex-husband, and it was very important from the off. I've always been that person that is the one that says, before we even start anything, I have two children. So if you don't like me and my children, then there's just no point. So I have that conversation, and then it's just as important to say, okay, here's the rules that I currently run my house with, and I want you to slot into that in some way.
What if he doesn't like your rules?
Well, it's important, I was going to say, for us to have communication to find out, well, how does it work for you? How do you do things? If it's me and I'm coming into somebody and they've got children, I want to just slot in around what they already do, what their routine is, and then we can work on what works for both of us within that relationship and for the children.
Yeah, but you don't always agree. Hard. Well, you've been there, haven't you?
I think it's hard. I think it would be really hard to come in and... Because some people... I've got a friend who, when they met, he just hated her children. He just did. He hated the way they spoke to her. He thought they were really disrespectful to her. But when he'd say something, she was like, well, they're my kids and don't you get involved. And it just became a real issue and they ended up splitting up. And I've been there with, when I met Ray, he came in, I had the two boys. And I'd say the first 2 years were all of us finding the line because he was 8, Jake, when Ray first came in. Jake had me to himself for like 3 or 4 years. This man came in and Jake used every trick in the book. you're not my dad, you can't do this. And sometimes Ray would tell him off about maybe things that in the past I would have let go. But I never, ever said it in front of Jake. Later on, I'd say, do you know what, Ray? I may have let him away with that. Ray was the one that grounded him, and I stood by him. But even to this day, Jake will say, you know what, he sees Ray as almost saving his teenage years and bringing him up with respect. And,
boundaries.
Yeah, they're really, really close. But it was 2 years of absolute
But that took a huge
hell.
amount of...
you have to back each
It
other.
does, it's hard.
restraint on your part. Because
But if I met someone and didn't like their kids, I don't know if I could
But
stay.
Colleen, you know, when you said that if Ray had a word with, you know, because I had that, because being a step-parent is a very, very, it's a very, very difficult job. And I think that both Ray and Lincoln did it brilliantly. But there were times, exactly as you say, that I remember once that Lincoln was quite heavy-handed verbally, and quite rightly so with Louis. But in hindsight, quite rightly so. But I stepped in the middle of it, and Lincoln was furious with me because he said, "You cannot undermine me in front of Louis," and he was dead right.
So
but it's so hard.
I would find that so hard.
It's really hard. I think that I could keep the relationship going if I didn't like the children, even though I do, Lewis, I love you. But if I didn't, depending on how my partner treated that child, if he was actually,
trying his best.
If he was trying his best, and if he was realizing that this child was a little horror, then that would be okay. Yeah. But if he was letting the kid get away, then that would be a nightmare.
I've never been in this situation. What I feel uncomfortable about this conversation is always if you don't like those kids, if these kids are a little horror or whatever, kids are just kids.
Yeah.
And generally they're upset because their mum and dad aren't with each other anymore. They're not like their mates. They find it confusing. They don't know who this new man is or this new woman is.
But teenagers can be the hardest.
They can be hard. But
you just got to go softly, and literally.
And not going as their mum.
Well, no, you're not going to replace. You're just an addition, and that's.
But it's not their fault, and you have to remember it's not
their fault. A bonus mum, as Samantha Fox said.
I love that. Bonus mum.
It is. Coming up next, we're all very excited about this, revealing the best household invention from the past 100 years, and One Night with Welch. Denise will be recalling a night that she recently spent in a hotel that she will never forget. And when you've heard the story, you'll never forget it either.
Oh, my goodness me.
Nice to see you again. Coming up, the household appliances which changed our lives, and Ray Quinn on why he's returning to his talent show roots and singing the songs that made him a star. Oh, that's a treat. What a treat we've got in store for you there. It's competition time now. It's a summer sizzler worthy of a woo. Woo! Merci. Here's the details.
Winning the prize has absolutely changed my life. Once the money hit the bank, it was like, oh my God, I'm rich.
You could soon find out for yourself, as we're giving you the chance to win a massive cash prize of £50,000 courtesy of Megabus, plus this gadget tech bundle. Wonder how it would feel?
You have won £75,000, a Mercedes and a Universal Orlando holiday. So congratulations.
That is amazing.
Do you remember entering that one?
I do.
Congratulations.
Wow.
One entry and you could bag £50,000 and that amazing tech bundle. So get entering now. Text prize to 81119. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. Go to the website. Entries cost £2. Call 09068 78 11119. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge, or post your name and phone number to DY34 PO Box 7558 Derby DE1 0NQ. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close on Friday, the 26th of August at 3 p.m. Good luck.
In the era that saw the invention of the television, the computer, the household appliance that has been voted the best domestic invention of the past 100 years has been revealed by Good Housekeeping magazine. And it is... the washing machine! There you go! Was your prediction predicted that one, Brenda?
No, I wouldn't have, but I'm happy that it is.
You wouldn't have predicted it? Why, what's yours?
That was an incredible voice you said that as well.
I had the washing machine tablet in my washing machine. I was in there. I was in a different mode. Obviously I love a washing machine, but I'm somebody who likes to go to the laundrette and sit in. Okay.
Waiting for Nick Cayman to come in.
Diet Coke break, whatever. But I like to go to the laundrette because I think if I've got more than one load, then let me just take it to the laundrette and I put it in one bigger washing machine and then I take it out of there and just put it to the dryer and then that saves on...
So what's your best invention of the last 100 years then?
Well, not last 100 years, but the dishwasher is a godsend.
I hate dishwashers.
I never had one when I was growing up and in the house, and it was literally when I got married and our family got bigger and I found out that I'm the only one that's kind of washing up. So
at some point, I'm sure in life that you've rung me or texted me to ask me if I share your hatred of unloading the dishwasher as much. There was some communication because it's such a simple thing that takes 5 minutes.
I hate doing
but
it.
I despise it.
Me too.
But if you load at the same time as you use, then it doesn't take as long.
It's not a big thing to do that, but there's just something so irritating about it.
But I'm all right. Like my dishwasher broke down recently, and I actually enjoyed washing dishes. I was having great conversations.
There's something really
because I'd wash and Kira dry, or who else was there, and we'd end up having conversations. Yeah. But I have to say, the washing machine, I feel I couldn't live without.
Okay, well here's mine: the electric blanket.
Oh my God! My mother the same as you with the laundrette.
That's not an appliance, is it?
It is. My mother took her electric blanket on a cruise where the weather was 35 degrees, and all we heard was, "Vin, will you put me blanket on the cabin?"
Do you have an electric blanket on? Well, how often do you have an electric?
Well, not in the summer. Not in the summer. I mean, I would never put it on before September. But I got it on a smart plug, and so I'm sitting downstairs. I'm watching the telly. It's 9:30 on my wee app on my phone. Electric blanket.
It's not very good for the planet, Kay, that.
I know it's not. I'm going to have to stop doing it.
You are going to have to stop. What are you going to do?
Yeah, I know. I don't know what
Have you got the split sides for you and Ian?
I might have to start sleeping with Ian. We've both got our electric. Or how about the kettle?
Don't get me started on the kettle.
Yeah, but you can do a pan of hot water, can't you?
The kettle is a bit triggering for me at the moment because I love a kettle, right? I go in a hotel room where I am a lot. To me, you put the water in the kettle and you've got your sachet of coffee and your little milk, job done. Oh my God. I was in a hotel the other night and I felt compelled to tweet. Not like me, I know. I felt compelled to tweet. Can anybody remember when you didn't need an engineering and an IT degree to stay in a bleeping hotel? I couldn't work anything. Right?
What would you need to work?
The lights were on some kind of... There was about 75
different
remote controls.
And light switches.
So I'm trying to put the shower on and all I wanted it to say was hot and cold or blue and red. And I'm turning one and it's splashing me in the face. Meanwhile, back in the lounge, woo, 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 woo. Something from the television, trying to make a cup of coffee. The back fell off. I just wanted that. It is the most annoying
They've got
place
those
to
coffee machines
yes,
now.
I can't use them.
So
and
many
also, they come out lukewarm.
Yeah.
And then the other thing, what was it? There was the coffee machine. In order to get some help for the shower, which I could not work at all, I went to pick up the phone. So you pick up the phone and you think, I don't know whether to press on here or I don't know whether to press on there. In the olden days, you picked it up and you went, hello, reception, and somebody answered.
Can I just say about the room service? I went to a hotel the other night and it was one of these that you had. It was a tablet. So I went in. So I went on the tablet. Now, I've struggled to use my phone. I've got to be honest. I'm technophobe. So 40 minutes later, I've managed to order a vegan burger and chips. So I did that, honestly, 40 minutes, because as I'm pressing it, it's going back here and then it's pressing. And I'm thinking, oh, my God, when can't I just... Anyway, 40 minutes, ordered it, went to get in the shower, phone went. The woman says to me, hi, this is room service. Can I just confirm your order?
But you're done on the tablet.
I wanted to go, well, why didn't you just let me phone you and give me...
And also,
I could have given you my
hotel.
order.
I know this sounds like first world problems, but obviously we stay in hotels. Hello, it's been 40 minutes since I've managed to get an answer, but never mind. I've also been downstairs and saw that you weren't busy at reception, but never mind. This is Denise in room, blah, blah, blah. Could I just have some fruit, please? It was like I'd said, what's your grandmother's address? It was like, he went, fruit? I said, yes, fruit. I just want some fruit. We don't have any fruit. I said, well, you do because you clearly have it at breakfast. He said, I'll have to ask the manager. Eventually, after an hour, I got 2 mouldy tangerines on a plate.
That was
I
simple,
tell you
isn't
what,
it?
I'm spitting feathers.
I'll just say my one thing is the air conditioning. When it says a certain number, and you seem to put it down and it goes down, but then it goes back up and nothing changes. But there's also a thing with my fingers. If it's touch sensitive, it doesn't work because if my fingers aren't hot enough, then they don't operate the thing anyway.
The other thing as well is,
I have to say one more. Come on,
they do it here as well. The push-button toilet flush was invented by a man with no fingernails because I'm like this and like this. I just want to go bosh like that. Oh
my God. But don't you agree the best thing ever is a QR code? No, don't answer that. Coming up next, it's today's... Look at that face. Oh, right, okay. Today's big debate. Should you ever tell your kids when you are sick? Is it better to shield your children when you are the one who's poorly? We're sharing our own advice on that one next.
It's been over 2 long years, but we've missed you and we want to see your faces right here. That's right, we are bringing our live studio audience back.
Hello, audience.
We've got big guests and all your favourite panellists. All we need is you. Go to itv.com/loosewomen to apply for free tickets for September and beyond.
Welcome back to Loose Women and getting loose and lively and sometimes livid alongside me, Kay Adams. It's Colleen Nolan, Denise Welsh and Brenda Edwards. Coming up.
Well, we can always just throw them on Jimmy's bommy. And let Cynical have them. They've got an incinerator, haven't they? They could burn them.
Come on, let's get gone.
Oh, is it really back to Brookie for Ray Quinn? He'll be telling us why he's been spending time in the place that all started over 20 years ago. We're talking to Ray at 1:15, but now. As parents, our first instinct is to protect or shield our kids when something goes wrong. But what do you do when that something wrong is with you? That's a debate we're going to explore today. Should you tell your children, or how much should you tell your children when you're seriously ill? Colleen, obviously within the family, and I'm thinking of Bernie because Erin was really young at the time, sort of early teenage?
No, she was 11.
Oh, she was 11?
She was 14 when Bernie died, yeah.
Yeah.
So she was 11, and I think they told... I don't think Bernie got her diagnosis and went home and told Erin.
No.
Because I think they were very much like I think she was doing something at school and they didn't want to upset her doing that, so they kind of waited for something. But they did set out that they were going to tell her because they knew that with Bernie's treatment and all of those things, she was going to be ill. You know, with her chemo, she was going to lose her hair. That can be quite shocking for a child if they have no idea. And then, you know, next day mummy's got no hair or she's being ill. So they did make a conscious effort to tell Erin eventually so that she could go through the process with her, whatever that process may be.
I mean, it is what you tell them and how you tell them. And
what age
it's got
they
to
are.
be age appropriate,
Yeah.
hasn't it? I mean, I think there's sort of professional advice when they're toddlers and young school-age kids, giving them simple, direct explanations. Use the name of the illness, like cancer, rather than, a nasty bug or a nasty thing. Tell them where the illness is, and also tell them how it's going to affect them, because they are potentially thinking, my world is going to fall apart and all the people are there. So sort of make it focused on them rather than what is going to happen to
And I think
the
answer
person.
their questions as honestly as you can, because a lot of with kids, selfishly, that they do this, they do worry about them. So they'll be like, am I going to catch this off you? Am I going to get it?
That's a good point. Tell them it's not contagious, particularly when you're talking about cancer.
Yeah.
And, I mean, obviously, Brenda, with you, your kids were older at the time. How did you tackle it?
Yeah, well, Jamal and Tanisha, they were 24 and 26. So as Colleen says, I think age appropriateness kind of helped me in a way. I didn't know what I was going to say because at the time I was literally diagnosed with the stage 3 breast cancer, but I didn't know if I had long, or that was the questions that I didn't have, which is why it took me so long to tell the kids before I did tell them. But as you say, they had questions of, so what does that mean? What are you gonna die? Is your hair gonna fall? And I basically just wanted them to try, which is my default, as you know, just try and act like there's nothing going on, but I want you to continue doing what you're doing to keep your mind busy and active. So you're
I guess
not
if
thinking,
they say if you're going to die, it's hard to say absolutely not.
If I had got that prognosis, I don't know if I would have said that to them, because I would have wanted them to have hope. I'd always want them to have some hope and some form of something to hold on to. But I think if you don't, it's for everybody individual as themselves. But if you don't, my worry is that, because I've got friends whose parents died and they found out that they had an illness that they kept from them.
Yeah, the shock.
And that child is left saying, well, why didn't my mum or my dad want to tell me that? Why didn't this person want to? And that's left with so much regret and hurt in that person that's left behind, always soul-searching and seeking for an answer that they're never going to actually get. So, you know, that was why I decided openness and just tell them the truth and just tell them what's going on and let's work on it together and try and get
I suppose
through
there's also a difference between, you know, a condition like cancer that's diagnosed, so it's almost an event in the family, whereas with you, Denise, it's obviously mental health, and it was like a chronic, ongoing.
Yeah, it was, my kids, and obviously there's a 12-year gap between my children, so there's a big disparity in their ages. But Matthew was used to mum being very poorly in bed. And so initially, like we did with Louis when he was ill, you know, their dad would just say, Mummy's poorly, or with Matthew, has Mummy got her thing?
Right.
He
So
sort of had an understanding
depression
of her thing, not until he was a bit older. But it's interesting when kids grow up, how what you tell them and how they've processed it manifests. Obviously, with my eldest child, he's a singer and songwriter. So a lot of things, I used to actually listen at his bedroom sometimes to hear about his scarred childhood, to hear what he was singing about. But in this instance, he wrote a song, which I didn't know he was writing it until I heard it on his album called She Lays Down. And it's basically because I told him when he was older and he could understand it, that depression depresses everything, every emotion. So it robs you of the ability to love. And I said that I used to lie down on the bedroom floor, and I'm not religious, but pray to whatever to help me be able to love my child again. And that's why he wrote She Lays Down. And lyrically, it's like, she lays down on her bedroom floor. The chemicals that make her laugh don't seem to be working anymore. And one of the things that I told him, and I never realized it resonated with him so much, is that I never tried to take my own life, but there were times I was so poorly, I wanted that job to be done. And I said that I was taking him to see his dad in Australia when he was about 1. And I had a massive recurrence of my illness, and it was crippling and debilitating, absolutely. And I prayed that the plane would go down, because it would take everything, it would take that away from me. And he wrote.
Denise, actually, do you mind? We've got a little clip of Matty singing the song.
Oh.
The engines all go past, we turn to dust, and I've no reason to complain. She's appalled, no, she doesn't love me at all. She wears a frown and dressing gown when she lays down.
Wow.
That's a bit
so emotional.
It's really emotional, isn't it? Wow. I don't think I've ever seen that clip. Yeah. So it's, you know, kids have different ways of processing it, don't they, you know?
And it's good that Matty was able to express it in music and words.
Yeah, because it was,
because some kids don't have that.
It was a lot of their childhood. Yeah. And you know, and still is.
But what it shows is the strength of your relationship, that he is able to express very deeply personal thoughts, things that you've shared, and you can watch that, and you can see
and you can accept it.
Yeah,
actually.
Yeah.
You know, you're managing that. There are always helplines, of course, on our website if you're dealing with any of the situations that we've been talking about. Coming up next, soap star turned singer Ray Quinn on his return to the Close where it all began. If you were a Brookside fan, like I was, you won't want to miss it. Welcome back to Loose Women. Now, you might remember today's guest as cheeky Scouser Anthony Murray back in the days of Brookside, and he went on to be X Factor's sensational swing singing runner-up in 2006. Here to tell us why he's swinging back to his roots, please welcome Ray Quinn.
I say how soft your beard is, Ray. Oh, well, it's moisturised, it's conditioned.
No, you can't, Brenda. It's inappropriate.
Sorry.
Stop it.
Sorry.
Oh, God.
So young, honestly, he looks about
Baby
12.
face.
I haven't seen them clips for a very long time, but
How old were you there on X Factor?
17. I think I got into the show when I was 17, and then I turned 18 in the live show.
Wow.
So yeah.
Was
17.
it a brilliant experience, that?
Yeah, it was good. I mean, it was. I've got loads of things to thank it for. You know, I did a fantastic album afterwards that went platinum.
Yeah.
300,000 copies sold, and then I did a sellout tour. The 3 nights at the Empire in Liverpool was mega.
Wow.
And then, yeah, I mean, it all came to an end after that.
No, but I mean,
But it was still good. You know, I really enjoyed it.
Did it? Because you're still here.
I am. I'm still
going.
doing my thing. Yeah. You know.
and you're out on tour.
I am. Yeah. I'm dead excited about this because it's a show I've wanted to do for a very long time. And with everything else, and obviously the pandemic and all these things we've been through, it was something that I thought, well, when I get out the other side of this, that's something I really want to do. So I'm going on tour with my big band.
Yeah.
And we open on the 2nd of September in the Townsgate Theatre in the lovely Basildon.
Right.
And there's plenty of shows in between that. You get your tickets online. And then the last one is my little homecoming on the 8th of October. A bit more local than Basildon.
And is it the swing stuff that you do?
Yeah, it's all the swings. Yeah, King of Swing, it's called.
Amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I think over the years, I've gone in on my trade. You know, I've learnt more. And through experience, gained a different feel to the music that I sing.
Yeah.
Obviously, then I was only a young boy, you know, and coming out now and been through life as we all do.
You've got the perfect
you know?
voice for it. But I mean, where did your love for it come from? Because you were just a young boy there. Why was that the kind of music that you were choosing?
It was my dad, really. Ever since I was a little kid, I tell a story in one of my shows, you know, and he was playing these songs in the background, and I come home and there he is, look at him, handsome, Minnie. And he said to me, take a picture of this, do I look like I'm on the beach? When he said to me, you know, these are the best songs you're ever going to hear in your whole entire life, son. And I went, okay, well, you know, can you get me a CD for Christmas? And he ended up giving me the very CD that he was playing that day. Not a brand new one, because he never went out, you know what I mean? He never, he'd only go to work, home, pub, that was it. So I got the CD, and that was it ever since then. I've had that CD all my life, and just, my passion for it has grown over the years, like looking at the old stands and realising the Rat Pack wasn't just a 3, like I always thought it was. It was originally a 5 piece, lads, you know, and where the name Rat Pack came from. All the history to do with it. I talk about that throughout the show and where it all started and the passion for it, and it's just grown. I love it. There's nothing like it. There's nothing like it.
So we have to mention Brookie, because I was a huge Brookside fan. You were cute as a button, and I can't believe that you first met Ray when he was just 11.
I think we were 11 or something.
I was a baby, yeah. I was saying that when I come out, your second month.
But it's funny because obviously we first met you in Brookside, and I have to say, to this day, you were still one of Britain's best child actors I've ever
Absolutely.
seen.
Oh, bless
You were
you.
absolutely the best.
I know, I'm not any good at it anymore. For some reason.
Look at you there.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
Was that the Soap Awards?
That was so 2002,
remember?
I think it was. Yeah. I've got that in my little bar at home. I built
And
myself a
Bernie
bar.
actually genuinely just loved you. My
Oh,
sister Bernie loved you like she was actually your mother.
Yeah, and she was, though.
Yeah.
You know, she was amazing.
It's great times, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, brilliant. And I'll never forget her. She was just so good with me. And especially, like, Neil Capel played me dad there. He don't live down the corner from me now.
Yeah.
And I seen him the other week. He's like, oh, we should come and have a little cup of tea. Come and see her. I was like, yeah, cup of tea. Bring the Stella. You know, so lovely fond memories.
Yeah.
And obviously growing up on set, because that was my first audition, my first ever job. I didn't do anything else before. I just used to go dance class after school and whatnot. And that was my first ever audition that I got. And I started on set at like 9, you know, 8 or 9, same age as my kids now. And I look at them and think, there's no way I'm getting you on a TV.
Yeah.
Me. But I learned and I learned a lot. And it's put me in good stead now for everything that I do. Something like this, being in a studio, it's now a relaxing environment rather than a
nerve-wracking one. But you've actually recently, excuse me, made a return. I'm all right, thank you. It's the heat wave.
I know, yeah.
You've made a return to Brookside for different reasons. Can you tell us what took you back there?
Nostalgia, I think it was. So, here I am. So basically, during the pandemic and everything, November of last year, unfortunately, I lost my father. And I had a really great, close relationship with my dad, you know, he was always one that would tell me straight, and if ever I needed something, or just a phone call, you know what I mean? My mum used to go mad because I'd never phone her, I'd always phone him. And anyway, my brother lost a colleague, if you like, as well as a father, and because he used to work with my brother fitting the carpets, because both my brothers do carpet fitting. My uncles, my cousins, even my nephews now are doing carpet fitting. Anyway, at the time, he said, you know, do you want to come with me and give me a hand, you know, take your mind off things? Because it affected me, and they'd be all right with me saying this, it affected me the most because they had a different type of relationship with my dad. I was the baby of the family, you know. So my dad was like my best mate, you know. So, yeah, I went along. I didn't have any gear, didn't have no idea. All he did was shout at me all the time. But it was a nice learning curve, and I learned the job. And I actually didn't, as I say, I had no gear. So them kecks there, what we say in Liverpool, them pants there, they was my dad's pants, you know, like, I didn't have any gear. He asked me to wear them, so anyway, I put
Ray,
them on, and there I was.
Singing, your dad would be proud, but singing's what you do best. And we're going to ask you now to get ready to go off and sing for us.
Oh, yeah, singing yourself.
And whilst Ray gets ready, here is your chance to win our big competition.
In the last 12 months, ITV has given away over £7 million in total. Here's a chance to win £50,000 in tax-free cash courtesy of Megabus, plus this amazing tech bundle. Just imagine the thrill of getting that winning phone call.
I've won £50,000 and some tickets to the Rugby Six Nation games as well.
I needed this.
Congratulations.
I've just had a tooth out.
Congratulations.
I've forgotten all about that now.
Oh, good. The little pick-me-up you needed.
Little. It's massive. It's fabulous.
And remember, we have a guaranteed winner for every prize, and this time it could be you. Text PRIZE to 81119. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. Go to the website. Entries cost £2. Call 09068 78 119. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge, or post your name and phone number to DY34 PO Box 7558 Derby DE1 0NQ. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close on Friday, the 26th of August at 3 p.m. Good luck.
That's almost it for this afternoon. But before we go, a summer treat for you. It is the fabulous Ray Quinn with Fly Me to the Moon. Take it away, Ray.
Fly me to the moon, let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. In other words, hold my hand. In other words, baby, kiss me. Fill my heart with song, let me sing forevermore, because you are all I long for. I worship, I adore. In other words, please be true. In other words, I love you. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. In other words, hold my hand, yeah, yeah. In other words, darling, please just kiss me. Why don't you fill my heart with song? Let me sing forevermore, because you are all I long for, all I worship, baby, all I adore. In other words, please be true. In other words, I love you.